the reason that I want Graham to speak just now is to share with you some work that he's been doing on the operations manual. Because I think that he is, I know that we've all done it to varying degrees or maybe not, but I think Graham's got probably the best way of demonstrating how it all, how he's gone about pulling together the ops manual and how everything within the ops manual is linked. And again, I don't want to steal his thunder. I want him to show you what he's done. And I'm not saying for 1 second, you therefore have to do it this way, because Graham's he really likes, he's a systems guy. He likes to kind of do things in this way. But I think I'd rather you just notice what's he doing and how might that work for your business? Because you might be more of a paper-based guy or girl, and that's fine. But again, I want you just to kind of watch what Graham's doing and then ask yourself, what's the benefit of this? Because again, like what Claire's just shown, it takes effort. It doesn't, it's not something that you can wave a magic wand and have overnight materialize. But I'll tell you what, once it's done, you get the benefit. So Graham, thanks for doing this, mate, and just take yourself off of mute, and the platform is yours.
Okay, cool. Hopefully everyone can hear me. So what I thought I'd do is I'll talk about quickly before I start screen sharing why I've done this. The thing is that the business is only as strong as the systems that are behind it. At least that's what I believe in, or at least my business is. Because if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, yours might be a different level of sophistication than up until this point where I started doing this. Then I thought that we'd be in a really dodgy state. So we've always had tasks, we've had task lists, we've had bullet points and notes and things like that so that when a task gets assigned to someone, that they can then go out and carry through the steps. And it was basically bringing that together. So I said initially to Alan that this has been a 6-month project, but it's actually been a lot longer than that when I've been thinking about it before this video call. And I'll show you some of the stages that we've come through. So if I just share my screen just now, and we'll go through to this. So hopefully you'll all be able to see Chrome. Can you? Yeah?
Yep.
Great. Okay, cool. So this is where we started ages and ages and ages ago, where it was a table of contents, and each I had in my head that I was trying to create the McDonald's operations manual, where you've got that big folder which someone can refer to, and they can flick through to the laminated page, and they can read what those steps are to flip that burger in a nice clear way. However, because our business is most of your businesses are probably now in this stage, but our business for the last 18 months, in fact longer than that, almost 2 years, we've been completely remote. So that was never really going to be an applicable way of working for us. So we had Word documents, as we can see here, where we had different steps, emails that need to be sent out to people. And I think this is usually the natural way that people will create an operations manual, as well as going through to how to create a campaign, the steps that someone needs to go through with screenshots, etc., etc., etc. And then from that, we then started pulling this together into one big document, a more collaborative document. This could be we use Google Drive. I know a lot of you guys are already on 365. It works in both ways. So an operations manual, and this was going to be our master document. This is going to be the piece where you go down here, you scroll down, you click on this, and then you can go through to each different one of these sections. You can find out about task etiquette, click there, and it will take you through to it. Going through to hiring, holidays, pay, policies, etc. It would all be here. But the thing is that wasn't really, it would just get really, really long, and things would get buried, and it would be hard to identify where, this is my personal opinion, if it works for you, great. I think things wouldn't be updated properly. So instead what we moved was something which was a wee bit more out there. So this is what we've got now. And this is the last 6 months worth of work. It started off as just a blank sheet, and we've gradually added branding and gone from there. So what we've done is we've broken it down to different sections. So we've got our systems and procedures index. And within this, what we've got is we've got the different areas of our company and the different processes that someone could be expected to carry out. So we've got our marketing. And again, this is all a work in progress. So you'll see that some areas are much fuller than others. So we've got our procedure, which is 0, then we've got marketing, then we've got sales, operations, so fulfillment. And this is obviously where we've been spending more work to build up the procedures. Can you guys see this okay? Do you want me to zoom in or anything like that?
No, can see it fine, mate.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, so customer operations, and then communication, meetings, HR, accounts and financial management, etc. So we've broken it down into 6 different stages. You could really break this down, in my head, you could break this down into 4 very simply. You can have marketing, sales, operations, and finance, and HR as well. But that can sometimes sit independently from everything else if you've got someone else who's doing it for you. So effectively, within this document, it's just an Excel document or a Google Sheet, where effectively, well, there's a procedure. You can see the procedure. Ensure that the procedure, there's a procedure for adding something to this document. Ensure the procedure does not overlap with an existing procedure. Upon starting a procedure or policy, make a copy of this, which is this one here, 0.01. I've opened this up already to save time. So the idea is that someone would then make a copy, and this is the template for each one of these procedures going forward. So if you go through to any of the procedures that are in here, someone makes the procedure off the back of this, and then it gets shifted from, well, you can see here's a draft. It goes under review. When it's under review, I then get assigned a task. It's me who owns this specific document. There's other people who own each different individual area, but it's me that owns the overall document. I would then review it, and then when I'm happy with it and I'm happy for other people to use it, I would then put it live. So that's their key for other people to do it. But this is our template, and this has been an amalgamation. I've been pulling this together from lots of sources. So if you want to do anything like this, I would highly recommend Googling, so the American term for it is standard operating procedures, examples, systemization examples. The eMyth has got some good examples out there. In fact, you can see I've poached their idea, which is an example. So for each different one, they make a copy of this, but I've given an example of how it should be filled out here. And this is the eMyth's idea, where they talk about it should be something that everyone should be able to understand. So for us, it's how to make a cup of coffee. And so you can see here, gather necessary materials, etc. Of how someone would actually go through this process. The standards and quality and behavior which is associated with that. Fresh coffee will be made up until 3 p.m. It should be made any time past that, because if you've listened to Jen Lally, then after, well, she will say no caffeine, but it might not make you sleep. No unwashed mugs should be left on employees' desks prior to departure from the office. And so this is the kind of thing. But we've got 2 different things. We've got our quality, and then we've got our quantification. So this would be how many times this should be done, what KPIs or metrics should be done, and then any references that people should be going through. And if you really want to take it to the next level, then you can take them through a flow chart of how to actually create a cup of coffee. Something that would probably be more applicable as a real case is one which has just been done back in May. So how to make a sales proposal. So this is one that I've done. So the result here is how to, if someone does this process properly, what should the result be? They should have a comprehensive sales proposal that we can forward to our sales qualified lead, decision maker for approval and chase. Who's the person with overall authority? It's the sales manager. The participating positions are the ops manager. And so this is the time that's required. What do they need access to? Well, Proposify, which is a proposal system, the LastPass folder, 0 for create a quote, and then our operating costs and sales pricing sheet as well. And then you can see here, this is the process that someone is to go through. So it's step by step by step by step by step. Now to do this takes about, if this takes normally 2.5 hours to do this properly, to create a procedure, I would say it takes about 5 hours. It takes double the amount of time because you're going through the process and then you're documenting the process as you do it. But once you've done that, if you get ill, you can then forward. This is really, really comprehensive. There's no reason that I couldn't get anyone within the team now to be able to do this themselves. In fact, the only thing that, as long as the information has been gathered from the potential customer, there's no reason that anyone within the team shouldn't be able to do this now, which is what we're aiming for. So that's an example of a procedure. And then another example that we've got, which might be useful, is we've got our client fact sheets. So we fill this out for every client, what they do, how they do it. You know, we're marketing, so this is very specific to us, competitors, etc., contact details, stakeholders, what we're doing for them, channels and KPIs, what do we have access to, etc., any references. We do this because we gather this information at the beginning and then it's got a reference from that point forward. And then finally, another one which might be useful for you guys if you're thinking about doing anything is a meeting rhythm and guidance one. So this is when we do stuff, how we do it, the meetings that need to be done. This is under review. We're drafting this. We're still improving it. So when we do meetings, end of reviews, what they're for, etc., etc., etc. And then finally, I'll show you one other one, which is more of a policy, and this is also a working document, but this is different. The idea behind this is that, so from a training point of view, if the system is strong, then in my opinion, and if the system is correct, if something has gone wrong, then there's only two possibilities. Either the person who's carrying out that system has not been trained properly to do that system, you know, to a high expectation or the expected level, or there's an error within the system, so that when we do have that issue, and this will happen, I can either, well, it's straightforward. I can say, okay, well, how can we improve this system better, so that we don't have this problem in the future? Is there a step that we missed? Is there another question that we need to ask, etc., etc., etc.? Or what information, what training can I give you, or can someone else give you to be able to do this better, to carry out the activity to the level that we expect? But again, to be able to do that properly, what I've done is I've created another process for getting into that detail, so that we can do this on a consistent basis. So when we've got an issue, I think this was James Vincent who gave this, or maybe I've got it from somewhere else, where you want to get to 3 levels deep. You want to, when you've got a problem that's come up, you want to ask them what their interpretation of the problem is. Ask them again, and ask them for it a third time, until eventually you'll get down to the real crux of the issue. And so then with that, what I do is I then work out, so what's an issue, what's the issue again, what's the issue again, what's the specifics of it, how are we going to resolve this problem, what process changes do we need to put in, well, what changes do we need to put into the process, and then who the actions, who's actually carrying out these actions going forward, so we don't just forget about them. So yeah, within this, so this was not what it looked like from the beginning. It was It was just a simple sheet with a few different links. But I feel like with this, we're getting a lot more organized, and people know within the team what other people are doing, which is just really, really helpful. Okay, that's me. Alan, was that what you wanted?
Very good, very good, very good. Okay, I'm going to ask a question of you all, just in the chat box, please. I want you to tell me what is the predominant disc style of our friend Graham Milton. What do you think? Just type it in. Let's just see. Okay, now look at this. Unanimously, so far at least, we have C, 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 high C. Right, Graham, what is your disc style, please?
I'm an ID. And
An
yes, Nick, psychopath is yeah, I'm an ID.
Okay. He's an ID, and I've actually just checked on. I hope you don't mind this. So GDPR, Graham, for the moment, let's just ignore it, shall we?
No, don't worry.
So that's Graham's disc profile. Now, I don't know if you can see that too well, but actually, C is his lowest trait, right? So I guess what I'm kind of showing you that for is, look, Graham understands the benefits of this. Now, this is not a natural thing for any sane person to do, right? But especially an I. But actually, it recognizes the benefits, because you know what? In many respects, it's a case of, look, I don't want to ever have to have these kind of conversations with people. So it's a time saver. And therefore, again, it's a bit like the value stuff with Claire. Invest the time, get it done. Now, again, to what level of detail, that's your choice. That's your choice as to what level of detail you go. But there's a nice little example of, look, that if you want to go to a proper level of detail, that's it. So I'd like you to now just say, what's the benefit? What did you notice? What's the benefits of what you've noticed in what Graham shared? So again, Graham, I'll let you just leave it for a minute or so until people chime in, but please, you just kind of call them out and give a response to any of them.
Cool.
Claire Middlebrook says, no way. Ali, he lied. This is on his disc style. Funny. All right.
Claire, so can we nab your templates, Graham? The huge, huge benefit. Yes, you can nab my templates. So I'm happy with that. If you want, I can even show you the sales pricing one, which I'm really, really proud of. It's where I've broken it right down into the level of hours that someone will do to complete a task, and I know the profit margin that we're aiming for. So now, therefore, all of our pricing, it's no longer a finger up in the air thing. It's a case of, no, this is exactly what needs to be done. But the only way that I could do that sales pricing levels to that detail was because I knew the activity that was being done. So yeah, I'll share the templates. If it's okay, because there's a lot of IP in you know, there's been a lot. This has been painful, and there's been a lot of time which has been put into this. Please don't share them with anyone outside the group if that's okay. That would be appreciated. Val, love that. Anyone do anything in the business, and it is true. As long as it's done to a good level of detail, then it can be done. And the reason why that's the case as well is that I haven't done this for me, because if it was done for me, then I would have been quite happily kept on working from the tasks that were done previously, just some notes. It was done for other members of the team who are not the same personality profile as me. So you've got to work for the other people of the team. He can safely be hit by a bus now, of course. Yeah. So yeah, this is true. No, and the thing is that, so I had a couple of scares last year, in terms of health, one being a hemorrhage, and then from as a result of surgery, and the other one being, well, yeah, anyway, so it's both, I had two close calls last year, so this is really important, and this is why this has spurred me on to doing all this sort of stuff. So yeah, so staff members can see what others are doing. And that's really, really important, because when we're working remotely, and you guys will probably be finding out this challenge just now, is that when you don't have an office, people can't just say, "Oh, what are you doing?" and find out what those other people are doing within the team. When the thing is that people, by nature of curiosity, everyone's got access to this. The only thing, so I haven't made a couple of things in here accessible to others. There's only a couple of things which are accessible to me only. Or say, for example, accountant, or, HR or something like that. But the vast majority of it, specifically within the operations side, is all accessible. So people can dig in, just be nosy. Thanks very much, Ali.
Graham,
Ali.
Graham, can I chime in just now, because I've just gone back up the chat box, because whilst you were speaking, Val asked a question saying, Graham, who writes the procedures? How do you find the time to do it?
So I missed that tab. I had that tab open, but I forgot. It's the final one. So what we've got, Asana is our project management system. So what we've got is an ideas backlog, where effectively we've got all the ideas. This comes up on a regular basis, where you think there's an idea for a process that needs to be created. You just dump it into this section. So it could be new zero, I don't know, Val, new zero reconciliation procedure, something like that. Okay, I'm making spelling mistakes all over the place, but let's just go with that. So that's our idea backlog. That would then be assigned to a specific person, and then it's doing, and then it gets done under review. That's how I know I need to review it, and then I put it live. I've got a lot which are in doing, but the thing is that that's because I've got grand ambitions, being an I, about all the different things that I can accomplish within a short period of time. The team, on the other hand, you can see there's lots of things there live that they've done. So the key thing, so in December we rolled this out. I asked the team to do 2 processes because December is a quiet time for us, generally speaking. So for, I think it was 6 weeks, I asked them to do 2 processes a week. The first few were all crap, but then by the end of it, they were churning them out. It was brilliant. And in fact, there's a whole load within that index that I haven't put live yet, and haven't even put into the index yet. So it's the people who are doing it that should then be creating the procedure, because ultimately they're the people who are going to be following the procedure. I want the team, whenever they are doing a task, to open up that procedure and follow that procedure down to the letter. Now that sounds really, really boring to someone like me, but the thing is that I realize it's important, and I can say from certainty that this is painful, but as long as you hammer home the point that you do this, we won't make mistakes. And if you do make a mistake, that's okay. We can learn from it, and then we can adapt this to make us better. That's fine. But there's still elements of skill within this that they need to do within their job. A monkey couldn't do everything that is within the procedure. It's the problems that arise. That's why I'm paying them to do the job, rather than paying someone cheaper.